Most gardeners think they know what attracts earthworms. Add compost, toss in kitchen waste, water the soil, and eventually, those helpful little diggers show up. But what if I told you there's a way to supercharge that process, to turn an ordinary garden bed into a worm magnet in just days? I'm talking about a method so simple it almost feels like cheating. I didn't use expensive worm castings, I didn't buy fancy inoculants, and I didn't even turn the soil. All I did was take one overlooked kitchen scrap, put it in the freezer, and then buried it straight into the garden. What happened next genuinely surprised me. Within days I saw signs of new life, worm tunnels, castings, rich black soil beginning to form around that one little spot. It was as if the soil had been reawakened. So if you've got lifeless, compacted earth or you're tired of waiting weeks for compost to do its job, stick around. Because in this guide, I'm walking you through exactly why freezing your kitchen scraps before burying them can trigger an explosive response from worms, turning dead zones into thriving underground ecosystems. This is lazy gardening at its smartest. Freezing your kitchen waste isn't just about storage. When you put fruit or veggie scraps into the freezer, something transformative happens at a cellular level. Water expands as it freezes, and in doing so, it bursts the cells of whatever it touches. That's why thawed spinach turns into mush or why frozen bananas go black and soft. This breakdown is exactly what makes the frozen scrap irresistible to earthworms. Unlike raw, rigid peels or rinds that take weeks to decay, a previously frozen scrap enters the soil already softened, leaking moisture and nutrients within hours. That fast decomposition kickstarts microbial activity, the very thing worms are drawn to. In essence, freezing jumpstarts the rot, in a good way. When you bury that thawing material in moist soil, it immediately begins to ferment, attract microbes, and heat up microscopically, creating a scent trail and buffet line for any worms nearby. So, while nearly all plant-based scraps can be frozen, some just perform a bit better than others for this trick. The main goal is to use material that breaks down quickly and feeds microbes, without causing, too much stink. Overripe fruit, vegetable trimmings, bruised greens, and melon rinds are just perfect for this. Carrot tops, soft zucchini, and even cabbage cores work wonders when they're frozen and then thawed before burying. These scraps are high in water content, rich in sugars or sulfur compounds, and become almost jelly-like once thawed, exactly what worms crave. And here's a tip. If you want to make this method even more effective, just blend a small handful of shredded newspaper or some damp cardboard with the scraps before freezing. The paper adds fiber, balances moisture, and provides bedding for worms once they arrive, plus it keeps the mixture from becoming too slimy once it's in the ground. Once your scraps have frozen solid, it's time to bring them back to life, in the soil. So choose a section of your bed that could use some worm activity. Ideally, the soil should be moist but not waterlogged. Now, dig a hole about 6 to 8 inches deep, just large enough to hold your thawing scraps. Place the frozen block directly into the hole. There's no need to break it up. Cover it with the soil you removed, and if you want to protect it further, you can mulch the surface with dry leaves, grass clippings, or even a bit of cardboard. Then, leave it alone, don't stir it, don't turn it, just let nature take over. Within 2 to 3 days as the scrap thaws and decomposes, worms will begin to find it. By day 5 or 6, the area will likely have small air holes, moisture pooling, or even visible castings near the surface. If you dig down at the 1-week mark, chances are you'll see worms actively feeding, or maybe just resting in that warm, fermenting pocket. This method works especially well during hot, dry spells when surface-level food is scarce and, compost piles just dry out too quickly. The underground thawing process keeps the core cool and moist, giving worms exactly what they want in an otherwise inhospitable environment. This isn't just a quick trick for worm attraction, it's actually a soil-building strategy. Each time you bury a thawed kitchen scrap, you're not just feeding worms, you're feeding the entire underground ecosystem. Microbes break the food down, worms digest it, and their castings enrich the surrounding soil with humic acids, enzymes, and plant-available nutrients. Over time, the soil around each buried scrap becomes darker, softer, and honestly just more alive. Roots grow deeper, moisture stays longer, even the soil smell changes, from stale clay to the earthy, sweet scent of humus. So by repeating this process every few weeks in different spots, you can, actually transform an entire bed from lifeless to fertile without turning a single shovel of compost. There are a few caveats to keep in mind. Avoid using meat, dairy, or oily cooked food in this process. These attract rodents, not worms. Also, if your soil is just too dry, the thawed material might not decompose fast enough. Always water the area before and after burying if the soil is really parched. And during freezing cold seasons, this method works best in containers or covered beds, where the soil temperature stays above freezing. So the next time you're about to toss those wilted greens or, slimy fruit into the trash or compost bin, pause for a moment. Toss them into the freezer instead. Let time and ice do the prep work. Then bury that softened, microbe-ready meal in your soil. What you'll find isn't just a faster way to feed worms. It's honestly a smarter, low-effort method to revive the land under your feet. If this guide helped you rethink how you use your kitchen scraps, give it a thumbs up and share it with another gardener who's tired of waiting for compost to work. And for more lazy genius tricks to bring your soil back to life, hit that subscribe button and join the Hydro Haven community. We're turning waste into wealth, one frozen scrap at a time.